Hey lovelies, I feel like today is going to be a little bit backwards. I actually forgot to film an intro for this video, so you guys are almost getting to see a 4 or 5 hour check-in. Yeah, about a 4 or 5 hour check-in of this makeup before we actually get into the makeup. Some of you had requested to see a full face of the things that I got in my $125 mystery Poshmark box, which by the way, I will have linked down below if you do want to check that out. But you should probably check out that video first if you don't want to have spoilers for yourself, because I'm obviously going to be using those in this video. But since you had wanted to see, I thought I would do that for you, and that's exactly what we have going on here. So it is a mix of the things in that box along with a few of my Project Pan items. I really just wanted to sit down and do a good old-fashioned get ready with me today. So we're gonna get a little chatty, get a little like life updatey, if you will. Here's the makeup. I also show you how I get a little bit of a hair refresh. I'm on like the very last day of my hair cycle, so I'm pretty sure that right when I get done filming this, I'm actually gonna go wash my hair because I am ready. But if you wanna see how I just kind of revive my waves before it's time to start the whole process over again. Now, if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. But here we are, 4 or 5 hours into this makeup look. I'm really liking it. There are definitely a few of the products that we're gonna be using today that I think I'm gonna be grabbing for quite a bit now. So if you wanna see, let's get right into it. All right, do not mind the Star Wars moment, or almost Star Wars, they're back a little far, but I'm just using these buns to sort of like refine my fuzzy edges of my naturally wavy hair that I curled many days ago. And in all honesty, today is a wash day. I don't really want to do it a lot with it, but I thought that maybe at the end of this, I would dress this out with you guys just to show you a quick, easy way to refresh your hair if you have heat styled and you really don't want to heat style again. So we'll see that towards the end, but we're going to go ahead and start on the face. So I did go ahead and just went through with the Gucci Silk Priming Serum. I honestly thought about this because I just filmed my foundation and concealer declutter, and I have the Gucci foundation as well, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't used any of that in a while. So I thought I'd pull out the primer. This obviously wasn't in that box that I got, but it is one that I have and wanted to try out. So I thought that that would be good just because it is midway through the day. I did do my skincare this morning, but I wanted to sort of refresh and revive my skin before we go through with the foundation. The foundation that I do have is the Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. This is the shade Fiji. I thought that this would be the perfect shade for me. I have used this several times within the last week or so, and spoiler alert, I am actually really liking it. It is, however, just a pinch too light for me right now. So what I thought I would do is just put in a little bit of the MAC Face and Body Foundation. Hopefully that doesn't like change up the finish too much so that you guys can still see this. If you are curious, I have several pictures on Instagram this week using this foundation. I did put it in my Shop My Stash and I am really liking it. I only use like not even, I mean, a pump is not a lot in this foundation. So I usually use like a pump of that, and then I'm just gonna use maybe like equal amounts of this Face and Body. I just want a little bit of coverage. I don't really need a lot of anything, and I just need to darken this up a little bit, especially if we're gonna get any use out of the concealer that I got in my Poshmark box, because it's pretty dark. Honestly, I don't know, we're gonna see. I might use it in a creative way, so please stand by. All right, going through with the Artiste Oval 7. I'm using this because it's really going to like disperse this product really well. It's very dense, so I should be able to work this into the skin really nicely. But one thing that I'm really liking about this foundation is it smells really good. Does anybody else have this Nars foundation? I even said when I opened the box that I've never tried a Nars foundation. Now I did try the Radiant Creamy Concealer and I did not like that. I know that is several people's like holy grail concealer. It was not for me. So I guess I'm grateful that I like the foundation more than the concealer. Okay, I thought I would zoom you in a bit just to show you the finish of this foundation. And I honestly think that that little bit of Face and Body that I put in doesn't really change up the finish of this. I really like the finish of this foundation. It's satiny, it feels really nice. It is glowy, but not dewy. I really like a good dewy moment, but in the summertime, if I start out dewy, I am like a slip and slide midway through the day. So I really like to be more like satin so that midway through the day, I'm like the perfect amount of dewy. And I think that this foundation really has that. So this is really nice. I don't think I ever would have tried this foundation. Nars just usually isn't something, other than the packaging, Nars really isn't something that I like really gravitate towards, so I'm very happy with this. So You guys will have to let me know what you think. Have you tried this foundation? Have you tried many of the Nars like complexion products? I've obviously tried the blushes, the bronzers, those things, you know, those more like iconic products, but I don't know. I'm very pleased with this. Okay, so this Bare Minerals concealer that I got it's just gonna be too dark, I think. It's too dark and too warm. I had said that I was gonna give it a go before I like passed it on, but I can just tell. I can just tell this isn't gonna be a great shade. I am gonna use it as a primer for my eyes today. I thought maybe I would even like use it as a bit of a bronzer, like a creamy bronzer, but I don't know how that's gonna work with this shade. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick up, let's see, this is the Spectrum A07 brush. Yeah, I can definitely tell that, I mean, that is like maybe a shade darker than my skin right now, which there aren't that many places that I want a concealer to be a shade darker than my skin, and it is even a bit warm for me. So I know I had talked to my friend Eileen over at Aether Beauty, which is why I'm like popping this onto a clean hand, because I thought that I would maybe pass this along to her. I do still have a bronzer that I'm sending her from my bronzer declutter live that I did. So these will just get popped on to my golden girl. Now I do have to say, from the coverage and the finish of this, I mean, obviously using it as an eye primer isn't gonna give me like a lot of like longevity or, you know, knowing how it would perform underneath the eye. I'm just gonna like wiggle a little bit of this under to see. Yeah, it's too dark. But I mean, it looks nice. It looks like it has a nice finish to it, but yeah, it is a little dark. So I will be curious to know what Aileen thinks if she gives this a shot. If you aren't following her, you should go do that. All right, since we can't use this one as our concealer, we're gonna go through with one that I also pulled out in my declutter. This is the Maybelline Fit Me, and I'm just gonna use a little bit of this to get a bit of like a soft coverage. I do think that this is such a quick and easy, like just pop it on and you're out the door. And I like the finish of it. I would say it's very similar to the finish of this foundation, you know, slightly radiant, but not too dewy. So I'm just gonna use this for a bit of coverage with the other side of that Spectrum brush, and we will be good to get into some more color. So I thought that I would just, you know, kind of sit down with you guys, talk to you a little bit, I mean, I don't want to say a life update, because that sounds like I have way more exciting stuff going on in my life than I do, and I don't. But, you know, just a little like what I've been up to, how the summer has been going. It has been a very busy summer for me with work. And I am blessed enough to have a career that I stay very busy year round in, but usually the summer gets a bit more relaxed. But this year, I think with the world opening up a little bit more, people are really excited, and obviously there's a lot of events that were pushed back, you know, weddings and such. So it's been a pretty packed summer. I haven't had as much time off as I typically do in the summertime, which is okay, but it definitely has made for a pretty busy summer. And realizing that, you know, last year Jeremy and I had literally a couple months where we weren't working and were able to like get this wildflower prairie started and, you know, do these other things. But now, you know, we are business owners back to working full time and trying to find the time to do it all. So it's definitely been a struggle to get the time to work on the yard and keep up on the house and, you know, keep our businesses thriving. So it's been a little bit stressful, I'm not going to lie, but, you know, nothing that we can really complain about. So other than that, I think I, along with a lot of people, are trying to work on getting back into a more healthy routine. And I've talked about this a little bit on my channel, but my weight has definitely wibble wobbled in the last couple of years. So if you guys don't know, a few years ago I lost 70 pounds, and now it's just been trying to maintain that, and I do kind of go up and down a little bit. Well, I doubt that I'll ever go down past that, but you know, it's always this constant struggle of trying to keep some of those off. And I was doing really well and then not so much really well. And so for the last few months, I was very, very good and just trying to eat really clean, do really well. Definitely, I find that for my body, the best thing for me in general is to reduce my carbs, like reduce them quite a bit. When I am trying to lose weight, I would say that I'm more in the keto range, but in every day I do try to really be pretty low carb, just because that is how I feel better. I feel like my brain functions better, you know, just a lot of those things. So aside from that, I do also tend to be dairy free, just because I find that it does affect my skin and other things. I also find that, you know, watching the amount of caffeine that I get is also helpful. And in all honesty, for a couple months, I was really good with the clean eating, and then I kind of like, in the last month, just kind of, all of that went out the window. June is such a busy month between, you know, right before June, you have the holiday weekend, and then there was Father's Day, Jeremy's birthday, our anniversary, and then right after that is 4th of July, and it was just like, okay. And I just found that in the last month, I've sort of like derailed myself. So I'm trying to get back into it. Again, it's not just about my weight. It is also about the way that I feel physically. Like, I feel healthier when I'm eating better for myself. And that could mean different things for many different people. I am not saying that, you know, living a low carb, like dairy-free lifestyle is the best thing for everybody. It is just what I have found is personal for me. I have done a lot of different food elimination things. I've done a Whole30 and different things like that to really find what works best for my body. If you are looking for what works best for your body, I really suggest trying some of those things to see what works for me isn't necessarily what works for you, but that is what works for me, and I haven't been doing it. So I'm trying to get back on that train. I am really also missing my yoga classes. Jeremy and I used to go religiously a couple times a week, and you know, when all the things started changing, we canceled our gym membership, and now I feel like, okay, I really want to get back in the swing of it. As a hairdresser, I have limited movements during the day, and I spend all day with my arms raised up, right? So definitely found that doing yoga helps keep me stretched. It helps me do movements that are the opposite of what I do all day long, which is helpful, and it definitely made me feel healthier. I also just, you know, I just want to be healthy and strong to be able to live a long, fulfilling life and travel and be able to, you know, go hiking and do some of those things. So it is definitely time to make that a priority again. And when I'm not making it a priority, not only do I not feel good physically, I really struggle with like self-esteem. I don't want to say self-worth. It's not that dramatic, but it's like, I don't feel good about myself when I'm not taking care of myself. So there's been that for the last like month or so. So I'm trying to get back on that train. If you are too, I totally feel you. I think we just have to be kind to ourselves and understand it's totally a journey, and there will be ups and downs in that journey. And you can't be too hard on yourself during the downs, because it means that I think we beat ourselves up so much that we never rise up again. So I'm on the rise, people. I'm on the rise. But that has definitely been something on my mind for the last month, and trying to get back into that like healthy movement, healthier eating, drinking more water, drinking less coffee, as much as it kills me to say that, but it is very important for me. If you guys ever do want me to do more of like an in-depth video on like all of that, the things that I've learned about myself, the things that I find help me, some of that stuff that's a little bit more like lifestyle-y, but if it is something you're interested in, let me know. I would certainly be willing to do that. I am by no means a nutrition expert of any sort, but I am an expert of what works for me. So if you're curious, let me know. I could do that. All right, so back into the makeup. I did use the RCMA No Color Powder and the Balm Bahama Mama Bronzer. You guys know these are both in my project pan. I will say one thing that I'm finding, and I don't know if it's because this one is like older or if it's just that it's a product that's been around a long time and there are different formulas that I like better. I feel like this can start to look a little patchier, muddier. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like I said, it could be that it is older. I'm kind of tempted to open up my backup that I have of this. Like maybe it's that this one is so old that it just doesn't perform as well. You guys will have to let me know if you've tried this. The thing is, if I open it up, I feel like I'm like breaking my project pan rules, but in the sake of like experimentation, I feel like it's almost necessary. I love the tone of this. It is like that perfect, truly neutral, tipping towards like almost a little like olivey cool, like a khaki kind of. I don't know what I'm saying, but I really do like the tone of this. I just find that if I'm not careful, it can get a little patchy, which is why I've been using a huge brush. You guys know I am team small brush, but a big brush for this just helps like blur it out. But I do still really like the tone of that. Now I'm going to try out this Cover FX blush. So this is one of the monochromatic blush duos. I did talk in my unboxing that every single time the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty comes around, these are always 50% off, and I'm always so tempted to pick up at least one, and I never have. So I laughed so hard when I opened this up. So this is the shade Pink Dahlia. So what I'm gonna do with this is how I would normally treat a blush like this, especially if you have textured skin. So what I find that a lot of people do if they're looking for a little bit of that glow is they'll just run across the pan. But what I'm gonna do is use the matte first and then use the shimmer to kind of top it off. So the reason that I like to do duos like that is I have the option to control the amount of pigment that I get from the blush and also control the amount of shimmer, because if I go through this and mix them together, if I want more pigment, I'm also like building up more and more of the shimmer, which can lead to more texture on the skin. So I don't really want to do that. This color is very pretty though. And I am using the Luxie Tapered highlighter brush. Again, I know I talked about this, but I don't feel like this is tapered and I'd never use it for highlighter, but this really does make a nice like detailed blush brush. And I feel like I can use quite a bit of this. I will say this is obviously a fairly light shade. Like I'd probably go in less ham in the fall and winter, but if you have like anything deeper than medium skin, I don't think that this would be a shade for you, but it is very pretty for right now, and it's gonna go really well with our eye look. Well, I'm actually not sure what the eye look is gonna be yet, but I do know the palette, so the eye color scheme. So now that I have enough of the color built up, I'm gonna go through with the shimmer. And this blush, I mean, it isn't like a super frosty highlighter, but it definitely has a good amount of shimmer to it, but it's not at all glittery. It has almost like a very soft duochrome effect. It's like a, I would say it's tipping towards a warm pink, but the shimmer in it is cool. So that'll be kind of fun to play with. I'm going to use my Wayne Goss number 3 from the Goss Edit set. By the way, I did just put up my review on this whole set. If you guys would like to see that, I'll make sure that that is linked down below. But this is just going to be kind of like our topper slash highlighter. I have been finding that I really haven't been doing a lot of highlight this summer. I'm not really sure why that is. I know earlier in the summer I was kind of struggling with some texture. I think honestly it was just in the transition into working with my retinols a little bit more, and I wasn't liking the way that like highlighter was looking on my skin, but I am just really liking a very blushy moment, and I think that if I do a lot of blush and then top it with a highlighter, it just looks like extra makeup-y. So I feel like to balance that out, if I'm going to do a lot of blush, I cool it on the highlighter. So one that I've been enjoying is the Laura Mercier Baked Radiance powder. Is that what it is? But it's just that like really light feel. It's almost like a glowy powder that isn't technically a highlight. So something like that, or like a very subtle cream highlight. You guys know I love a good cream product, but just that little bit more subtle feel is what I've been going for right now. So this glowy moment of the blush I think is perfect. I really do like this. Wow, these are actually really, really nice. For a powder blush, which I love all blushes, but for a powder blush, this sits on the skin really nicely. It hasn't added a lot of texture. Even though I built up a decent bit of that glow, I don't really see anything, you know, unflattering. So, I mean, if you guys saw my blush declutter, you know that I don't necessarily need more blush, but I would right off the bat, this is the first time I've used this, but I would definitely recommend these if the formula is all like this, because I think it's very flattering. So I'm very excited to have this one. All right, now we're gonna move into the eyes, and this is another product that I was really excited to get because I've never tried this brand. This is the One Baby from Lawless. This is the more like, I guess I would say mauve-y little mini palette that they have. I am just gonna go through and play a little bit with this while we chat a little bit more. I have worn this palette once, and I mean, there was nothing that I can complain about with this, but there certainly wasn't anything I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to run out and buy another Lawless palette. But you can see like this shade here is very buttery and pigmented, but the other shimmer that's in this palette is a little bit, you know, it's like, again, it's almost like that powder that I would use on my cheeks when I'm just looking for like a little bit of a glow. That's not what I want out of my eyeshadows. Like 99% of the time, if I'm using a shimmer, I want it to be like, and that's not what this is. So the mattes are nice. I would say that they are a little bit more on the dry side of a matte, not like as in chalky, but definitely more like, not that like super creamy matte. So it just really depends on what you like to work with. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you may have seen some of our kayaking adventures this summer. If we're not in our garden or yard getting outside time, we're probably kayaking. That's going to be the one thing that we do a lot of this summer. Jeremy had a knee injury this winter that he's still kind of nursing, and as much as he loves hiking and, well, he loves doing all of the activities in the summer. He is definitely a summer fan. I think most people are, but he has to be careful right now with his knee, so we've been doing a little bit more limited outdoorsy activities, and the kayaking is obviously something that we can still be doing without, you know, putting a lot of effort into his knee. So that is something that I have recently gotten into in the last couple of years. I never would have thought, but I do love it. And so I think we might look at getting some new kayaks at the end of the season, which would be really exciting. But it's so funny because obviously that's the best time to do things like that. But it's like you get a new toy to use and then it's like, okay, now you get to put it away for the next 9 months and not see it again until the late spring. I actually am someone who I can paddle into the fall a bit because the water is still fairly warm, but you're not going to convince me to go out in like April when the water is still freezing here in Wisconsin, like, because heaven forbid if I should tip, which, knock on wood, the only time I've ever like been in the water when I didn't want to be was one time getting in, and I didn't technically tip. I just didn't quite get in, but I definitely wouldn't want to be hitting the water when it's like, I don't know, 40 degrees or whatever. So I could definitely see kayaking into the fall. So hopefully we'll have some opportunities to do that, but I don't know if it will be with our vessels that we have now or some new ones, but that's definitely fun to look forward to. And I really do enjoy doing that activity with him. Honestly, somebody mentioned it on Facebook the other day, like, oh, it's so cool how much you like love nature. And I just had to laugh because anybody that has known me for a long time is just so shocked by this person that I have become, because I was never into nature. If there are bugs or dirt, I wasn't interested. I will say, still the humidity gets to me. Ugh, I don't love that. Not that I love dirt or bugs, but I remember, oh, Jeremy and I had been dating a few months, and I was telling my mom that we were going hiking, and she's like, you are going hiking? She's like, you must really like this guy. I was like, yeah, I really do like this guy. Although I actually even said, Jeremy and I met on Tinder, by the way, if you guys did not know that, but I even said in my Tinder profile, like something about like, I think I'm the only person on Tinder right now that doesn't love hiking. Like, you know, or maybe I just said it to Jeremy. No, I think, or maybe it was just in a DM to Jeremy, but I was like, I feel like I'm the only person on Tinder that isn't like, I love hiking, but I'm like, you know, being out there, like climbing over rocks and showing a boulder who's boss is not my idea of a good time. And here we are. Although I will say there was one time that we went out, oh my gosh, it was like in the early spring and it was still too icy. And there was one point where I was like, hey, so do you remember when I said that I didn't want to show a boulder who's boss? This is that moment. This is getting to be too much. It's getting to be too extreme for me. I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. So, you know, he started me out like on like more like walks, and then it was just that like gateway thing. So I do really enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. Once it gets like hot and sticky and buggy outside, it's not my favorite time, but I do appreciate what Jeremy has brought to my life in the love of nature things and a lot of other things. By the way, in case you guys were curious, I was using the number 4 from Wayne Goss. I'm trying to be better about mentioning the brushes that I'm using. It's a struggle sometimes, but I am trying to be better. So on that note, I'm now going through with the Sonia G Pencil Pro. I'm gonna take that really dark brown shade. We'll get a little dramatic here. What else is up? So also, you guys may know, I know I've mentioned it several times here on my channel, but I'm a trainer for John Paul Mitchell Systems, or Paul Mitchell, the hair care company, and some of that entails traveling and doing hair shows and doing in-salon education, you know, training events for our other educators, and obviously all that's been on hold for a while. So I know that Paul Mitchell has said that we won't be doing any large events until 2022, but we may end up getting out there into the field soonish. So I have been doing virtual events through Zoom for some salons and schools, and then I have done some digital work for them, like through their Instagram platform, Facebook. I just did a YouTube video for them. So I've been doing some of that kind of content, but haven't been traveling out in the field. And so that should be something that hopefully starts being added to the roster at some point. I know we're not doing any large scale events until 2022, but maybe some smaller, like in-salon things. So that will be another thing that will be changing in my life. I haven't been on the road since, you know, last March. And so that will be something that I'm so looking forward to, but it's definitely something, you know, finding that balance of again and being gone. So that's going to be an evolution again. I mean, obviously, you know, not traveling as much has meant I've had more time to put into my channel. So trying to find that balance down the road, I don't want to say it's been causing me anxiety. That's being a little bit dramatic, but it's definitely been on my mind and trying to figure out how I'm going to find that balance. I will probably, I have been trying to do 2 to 3 videos a week. I have a feeling it will probably be 2 videos a week. I'm gonna try to stay to 2 videos a week, but if I'm back out in the field traveling again, it will just limit my time, because usually that's on like Mondays, or, you know, on the weekends. If I'm like traveling more, I will be gone for more than one day. So we're just gonna have to see what life brings as far as that goes. That is one of the things about, you know, this last year, getting off the hamster wheel of working 70, 80-hour weeks sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, I don't really want to work that much anymore. Now it's finding, okay, but then how do I do all of this? So I'm just using a little bit, I know it says Stay Spray, but it's actually the Vacay All Day from Ciate. It's the coconutty one. Oh, I hated that sprayer, so it's transferred, but I'm just using that to dampen this brush a little bit with that darker, like, ambery shade, I guess I would say. So yeah, so lots of things, lots of transitions in life, which I'm sure you are all going through as well in your own way. So I would love to know if you feel like sharing. Let me know how life has been transitioning for you. You know, if there is anything that you've learned, anything that this like paused year, if we will, if it has taught you anything about yourself, things that you're looking for, things that you want to do, things that you don't want to do anymore. I think that that's something that, you know, this has been a good time to sort of reflect. And since we all truly were kind of forced to change in certain ways, you know, sometimes it makes you look and be like, oh, okay, well, here are the positives about the situation. So I'd love to know if you feel like sharing, share with me some of the things that you've discovered about life and about yourself. Okay, this is very pretty. I just wanted to zoom you guys in a little bit so that you can see. Hopefully you can see that. That color, it's fairly pretty. Honestly, this palette is very, very nice. The quality of the shadows have worked really nicely. I would be curious, just because there are only 2 shimmers in here, and one of them is like so-so, are they more usually like the creamy one, or are they more like the Whisper powder one? I'm gonna use that light shade just so that you can see it, in case any of you have been curious about the Lawless and haven't tried the formula, but we may pull out something with a bit more razzle dazzle if needed. Yeah, see, this is, I mean, it is a little shimmery. It's it's like what I used to consider a shimmer, but now I almost consider a satin. Isn't that funny? Like, where it's like you just get so like used to a really like bright, more metallic eyeshadow. And that's not everybody's jam either. So, you know, you might really enjoy a softer formula. Not softer in feel, but softer in pigment, I guess I would say, or softer in shine. But I do love, especially for like inner corner, I do love a really strong reflective inner corner. I don't love like an overly icy metallic brow bone, so this makes the perfect brow bone highlight. It would probably make a really good Cupid's bow highlight. I was gonna say lip bone, lip brow. I was like, what am I even trying to say? Cupid's bow. Yeah, because this is like a little bit more quote unquote natural. See, this is when I wish that you guys were like physically here with me so you could tell me this is fine, stay here, or like more, but I think we're gonna do more. All right, if you guys watch my project pan, you'll know that one of my goals was to use a pressed pigment every week, and I have totally failed. I think I did it for like the first 4 or 5 weeks and then just kind of forgot about it. I've been getting back into it. So I have used this one in that like whole goal, but I think it is gonna be perfect for this. This is MAC Whisper Pink. We're just gonna use this on the inner corner. This is again a little like loose, oh, did I say pressed pigment before? I meant loose pigment. Wow, I'm glad that there's a countertop there because otherwise that would have gone all over my pants. So let's see, this is one of the reasons why I don't do this all the time. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this on my brush so that you can see what this color looks like. So if you guys can see here, this smaller swatch is Whisper Pink from MAC, and the upper one is that shade from the Lawless palette. So this is just gonna give us a little bit more brightness and electricity and quite a bit more shine. So by the way, I did just swatch that dry. I didn't have my pencil brush wet, but I am going to wet it to put it on my inner corner. Not necessarily for the like reflective boost, but just because I don't want sparkle all over my face. So just gonna use this and tap it in just to make it a bit more poppin'. Can you guys see the difference? Maybe not in this lighting, but I can definitely tell that this side has like a little more kick in the pants. Right, I am very happy with this. I think that this is like a smoky yet romantic moment. I like it. I'm also realizing that I didn't fill in my brows, so I'm going to do that. I'm also going to go through and use the mascara that was in this box. Actually, not the actual tube of mascara because I already have one open. This is the Hourglass Unlocked Ends and Extensions mascara. This is a tubing mascara. I don't reach for tubing mascaras every day, and I certainly am not purchasing any Hourglass right now, but I do have one of these opened. I did get this a while ago to try out and review, and in all honesty, I do really like it, and I'm going to use this one up. I don't see myself repurchasing another one right now, but I do have another one from what was in that Poshmark box. So I'm going to go ahead and set my face, do my brows and my lashes. I'll be right back. I also went through and lined my lips. I just used my Jordana Tawny lip liner that is in my project pan. This is getting down there. This is the perfect My Lips shade. I really like it to just like define my outer situation since it's fading into oblivion as I get older. And yes, I am going to combine a lip liner that was like $3 or less that you can't even get anymore because the company is no longer, with a very luxury lip product. This is the YSL Rouge Volupte Shine Lipstick. This is the shade 124. I did again get this within my mystery box and it is so very pretty. I really like this. I like the smell. It's not floral. I hate it that a lot of luxury brands do floral smelling lip products. Like, who wants to feel like they're eating a bouquet? Not me. And this is just like a nice, I would say like a warm pink. It's really, really pretty. I think I did swatch it in that video, but it's a little bit fruity. I mean, it looks fruity, but it does also smell fruity, and it's just so creamy. Now, this does not stay on your lips very long at all. So it's definitely one of those ones that, you know, you'd want to keep on hand, but in a shade like this, I would feel pretty comfortable just like whacking this on really quick, but I don't know if there are like dark shades in this formula. I think that would be a little scary because I could see this if you have lined lips, like if your lips have a little bit of like feathering lines, I could see this creeping out because it is so emollient and buttery. So definitely make sure that you're wearing a lip liner on those days, and maybe choose something that's a little bit like lighter, a little bit more nude, something that's going to be a little bit more line friendly, but it does just make your lips look a little more hydrated. It's glossy, but it's not as glossy as like a lip gloss would be, but it does give your lips some nice hydration. So I do really like that. So I think that that is going to be it from what was in my box. Now, the other thing that was in that Poshmark box was that Nars Summer Solstice palette, which I have decided that I am not going to keep, at least for now. I've decided that. So I did not use that today. And obviously I can really only truly do one palette justice at a time. So that one will probably be in a future giveaway, but I've definitely gotten some gems in this mystery box. The Nars foundation for me is one that I never would have tried, and I'm really, really liking. You guys will have to let me know what you think of the skin. And now that I've tried the Cover FX blush, I'm so happy with this. I like the color. Again, this color is not something that I would have picked. I almost never go towards pinks, like just pinks. This one does have a little bit of warmth that might have been intriguing me a little bit, but I don't know, it's just not a shade that I would have picked, but it does look really nice. And because it's not something that I would have picked, I probably don't have anything super close to it in my collection, which is also a bonus. The other thing that I really do enjoy is both of the lip products that I got. I did get this YSL lip product that obviously you guys got to see, and then I got one of the Gloss Bomb creams from Fenty, and that was the shade Fenty Glow. I just had to check, so I really like those as well. So one tip when I like to, I don't want to say set my hair like this because it's not like I really set it, but when I like to do this for a little bit of style refinement is I don't actually use a hair tie. I just wind the buns up and then I use these big pins. So if you guys can see here, these are like twice the size of a bobby pin, and when you have like long or thick hair, these work really well. You could also use bobby pins, but one of these or two of these usually does the trick. So now you guys can see that I just have like a nice little rumple in here. The trick to this, let me see if I can like back up. There you go. So you do want to make sure that your ends are wound within that really nice and smoothly. Otherwise you're going to end up with like crinkly, crusty looking ends. Now the other thing is when you're wrapping your buns, you want to make sure that you are rolling them in, I mean, basically opposite directions, but the same. So if you are wrapping both away from your face, that's going to mean you have to twist one towards the left on one side and towards the right on the other side, which is what I did. So I think when you're working on yourself, you tend to just like go the same way on both sides, which will mean that on one side they're curled away from your face and then on one side they're curled towards, which isn't the end of the world. But if you're wanting it to be both away from your face, make sure that you wrap them that way. Now, I did go ahead and when I was at work today, I actually ran to the salon to drop off a couple things, and I just decided impromptu to cut my hair. I just gave myself like a little trim. Don't try this at home. Do as I say, not as I do. Go to a hairstylist, but I am a hairstylist. So I just gave myself a little bit of a trim. And while I was there, I put in one of my favorite polishing tools. This is the Gloss Drops. I'll put a picture of it right here. This really just helps wavy and coarse hair types especially look a little smoother. It's a product that really stays more on the outside of the hair strand, so it just makes your ends look a little bit more refined. So that's what I had put in. I obviously have product in from the previous several days of styling. Well, not styling. I curled my hair like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago. So I still have product in from that, but I just needed something to like smooth out how fuzzy my ends were getting from getting caught in the rain when I went to the grocery store yesterday, or just the humidity in general. So you guys can see that just like really gave a little bit of a nice like wavy rumple to my hair, but having that gloss drops in there and just the process of twisting and tightening the hair strand, if you have like medium to coarse hair, it's going to help like smooth it out. It's almost like doing like a flat wrap on yourself. So that really helps. I am just going to go through with a little bit of another product that I've talked to you guys about. This is the Paul Mitchell Invisible Wear Undone Texture Hairspray. This is my favorite texturizing spray. It adds like a little bit of that like model off duty rumply vibe without that feel that some texturizing sprays can give. And you guys know what I'm talking about. I like to have something that's just really light and clean feeling. And so this is what we are going to get with this. So, all right, that's it. I hope that you have enjoyed this little get ready with me, this like little chatty moment, using up the things that were in my mystery box and some of my project pan items. I am really enjoying doing that. I will say I've also been trying hard to shop my stash every week at the beginning of my week and picking out a few products to pull in all week long. So not only does that make me use what I have and really take the time to like almost like rotate my collection, but it makes the mornings so much easier, because if I'm like, what do I use? Or I'm, you know, not necessarily feeling inspired, I have a little collection right here on my vanity that I can just like pull some inspiration from. Like, oh, here we are. Here's the things that I'm gonna use. And it has made my mornings much easier and a little bit faster, which is important because now I'm wearing a little bit more makeup to work, which is taking a little bit more time, and I haven't planned for that. So I need to make sure that I still have time for coffee in the mornings, and that means cutting down on the makeup routine. So I've been enjoying that. I just wanted to give you guys that little tip, but I hope you're all doing very well, and I appreciate you spending some of your time with me today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Give this video a like if you did enjoy it. It just, you know, tells YouTube that they should send a few more people my way. So if you do feel so inclined to like this video, I really do appreciate it, and I will see you really soon.